Hey, hi there. Thanks for watching. You know, God's grace not only redeems us from both the power and the penalty of sin, but you know that grace also teaches us, it motivates us, it inspires us to obedient living. In fact, listen to what Paul said in the book of Titus chapter 2, beginning in verse 11 of Titus chapter 2. He said, "For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men. And that grace teaches us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present age." Let me ask you a question. What motivates you to live an obedient life? What inspires you to live soberly and righteously and godly in this present age? What can ignite your love and your passion afresh and anew for God? The answer is God's amazing grace. You know that we live an obedient life not necessarily to be blessed by God or simply because we fear being cursed by God. You know, we don't obey the Lord simply to gain His favor or to obtain His love or even to secure His acceptance. But you know that we live an obedient life simply because of our love and our passion for Him. And you see, our love and our passion for Him is motivated by His love and His passion for me. You see, we do what we do simply because He did what He did. His love in dying for my sins and redeeming me from both the power and the penalty of sin inspires me to live soberly and righteously and godly in this present age. It motivates and inspires my love and my passion for Him, resulting in a dependent, obedient life. And I think John made that clear when he said to us in 1 John 4 and verse 9, he says, "We love Him because He first loved us." You see, His love for me ignites and inspires my love for Him. Paul said it again in 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 14. He says, "For the love of Christ compels me." You see, His love and passion for me ignites in my heart a love and a passion for Him. You know, when we understand God's grace, grace that has rescued us from the penalty of sin, grace that has freed us from the power of sin, grace that has delivered us from a performance-based Christianity. When we understand God's amazing grace, friends, it will inspire in our life an obedient, holy, godly, sober, passionate life for Him. God's amazing grace teaches us to deny ungodliness and worldly lust. It inspires us to live for Him. I heard a story that some years ago a woman dressed as a male servant hid in Queen Elizabeth's dressing area because she had one intention, and that was to plunge a knife into the heart of the Queen. But unknown to this would-be assassin, before the Queen would retire at night, the attendant would come and they would check all of the cupboards and the closets and the dressing areas, and sure enough, they found this would-be assassin, where this person was arrested, handcuffed, and brought into the presence of the Queen. And you can well imagine this lady who was there just to take the Queen's life began to beg the Queen to show her grace. And so Queen Elizabeth looked at this young lady coldly and quietly. She said this. She said, "Young lady, if I show you grace, what promise will you make for the future?" And the woman looked up at the Queen and said wisely, "Queen, grace that has conditions and grace that is fitted with precautions is not grace at all." And for the Queen stopped and she thought for a moment, and then she looked at this lady and she said, "You know, you are right." She says, "I will pardon you of my grace." And that woman was led away a free woman. History records this, that lady continued on in the service of the Queen, and she became the Queen's most trusted and loyal servant for the rest of her life. But you see, that's what grace does. You see, grace inspires us to live for Him. It ignites in our heart a fresh love and our passion for our Lord. And that's why Paul said in that same passage in Titus chapter 2 and verse 14, he said this. He said that Jesus gave himself for us that he might redeem us from every lawless deed and purify for himself his own special people that are zealous for good works. And that word zeal means to be on fire. It refers to having a passion for the Lord. And so maybe today you need a passion for the Lord. Maybe your fire for him has gone out, or maybe you're just having a hard time living a godly life in this ungodly age. Maybe you're just struggling and you're saying, what can I do? Listen, you need to draw near to him who has died for you and ask him to give to you a fresh understanding of his amazing grace. Say, God, show me how much you love me. Lord, remind me of what you did for me on Calvary's cross, and let that amazing grace that has redeemed us from all our sin ignite in your heart a fresh fire and zeal for him. Grace that redeems is grace that motivates for holy, godly, obedient, dependent living. And may God take his word and set a fresh fire in your heart this day for his glory. God bless you today.